Welcome to the Seller Roundtable e-commerce coaching and business strategies with Andy Arnott and Amy Wees.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Andy Arnott with
Amy Wees.
And this is Seller Roundtable number 77, and back for a repeat appearance who is perfect for this Amazon Bitch Fest episode. Joe Reichsfeld, come on down. You're the next contestant on the Amazon Bitch Fest. How's it going, Joe?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for being with us today. So I'm going to preface this with my own experience here. So if you guys know me, or if you've listened to any of this, you know that I've been in the Amazon game for a very, very long time. At one point at our peak, we had close to 900 SKUs. Let's just say I've uploaded a few flat files in my day. I've dealt with lots of listings, things like that. Amazon took the liberty to send out their AI listing bots, in September, October. They always do this, and suppressed one of our top selling items, which we normally, net, anywhere from high 2 figures to 3 figures. It's been down for over 2 weeks. I've gone back and forth with seller performance and opened probably like 30 tickets. And, normally people hire me to help them with these problems. And the fact that I can't even get through this firewall right now is just showing you the level of frustration that I think probably a lot of you guys are going through. I know that I'm at my tipping point here in terms of frustration with Amazon. We have the perfect person here, Joe. Joe just testified to Congress in terms of, Amazon and their treatment of sellers and, some of the perceived unfair practices going on there. And you know what? It doesn't make me happy to bash Amazon. There's so many great people working at Amazon. There's a lot of great things that do come out of Amazon. There's a lot of people that have made a lot of money off of Amazon. So on one side, I'm absolutely grateful for that. But on the other side, it's really starting to look more and more every day like a bait and switch, right? Build our marketplace for us. And then we're going to crank up all the fees. We're going to absolutely make it.
Now starting to look that way to you?
Well, I'm just saying more and more every single day. I mean, the screws are being tightened every single day. And, more of the Amazon branded, own brands being pushed. If that's not antitrust, I don't know what is, but I'm no expert there, Joe.
Me neither. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And the courts allow them to hold themselves above the law. That's the bullshit part about this whole congressional investigation. All they had to do was look at their own records that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing is I get it, right? I mean, if your listing has words in it, which one of the words in mine, granted this listing has been up for, I think, over 5 years. So the fact that it got flagged after 5 years, okay, I get that. There was a few keywords in there, like I think I had best in there, buried somewhere in the listing.
You've been grandfathered for that. I have that in listings that aren't.
Right. So it's, talk about a common word, but anyway, so it gets flagged for that. That's one of the things. There's a few other things, but since they never give you specifics and you have to bring out your magic wand and read their minds on what's wrong with the listing.
Confess to everything you didn't do.
Confess. Like my wife Molly said, it's almost like they're scolding a child. I mean, really, that's how it feels like when Amazon gets you on something, right? It's like, well, what did you do wrong, Tommy? Well, I don't know. Well, what do you think you did wrong, Tommy? In a louder voice. It's like that's those are the templates that get sent over and over again. And you throw your arms up. You go, well, I have no friggin' clue. Why don't you tell me? Why don't you help me out here? I thought we were supposed to be partners. Amazon
flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Well, Amazon sells the third-party seller thing as, we're partners. We're partners. Well, it's not looking like a partnership at all.
We're
it's
not
looking partners.
Yeah. Even in one of the things in the congressional report was, to the public, Amazon says that sellers are partners, but within Amazon, they're what do they call them? They see them as competition.
Yeah. We're there. We get to absolutely follow their rules exactly the way it has to be done. If there's something that the biggest issue, honestly, is they can't keep up with what they have going on. That with COVID, all this stuff surged. They can't keep up. They're using Well,
That's
I mean, I'm just saying
more than
that's what's tipped it over, though. I think to the point where, I mean, literally, seller support now. If you have anything more complicated than a simple question, they don't know what to do with it. I mean, they're just spooling up people so quickly that they absolutely don't know what to do with it. So now we're stuck here, trying to read their minds.
The systemic issue that's always been a problem with Amazon is that seller support is not part of Amazon. It's this third-party group that they hire. They don't even know anything about Amazon. These people learn about Amazon from you on the phone. They don't learn about Amazon from Amazon. They learn about Amazon from the people on the other end of the phone as they mess up and give wrong information and then find out the correct information to give. And it's ridiculous. It's pathetic. Because as well as I do, if you call 5 times in a row, you're going to get
5 different answers,
completely different answers, and they're all going to swear that they know, and the other people were wrong.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's beyond maddening. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is the first time in years where, I'm a pretty laid back guy, but I've wanted to break things in the last couple of weeks here because I'm just spending literally days on the phone writing tickets, updating the list. I mean, it's like, like I told,
See, I don't do that. I just get on the phone and just keep asking to be transferred to a supervisor.
Well, so they don't even do that anymore. So Joe, that's the even sad part. So the captive team is gone. You can't ask for the captive team anymore. They're gone. They don't exist anymore.
Spanish?
What's that?
Do you speak Spanish?
A little bit.
Call back and ask for a Spanish operator. They'll send you to Costa Rica.
Yeah,
Costa Rica branch.
They're pretty solid. They are solid. And so I used to go to college I went to college in North Dakota, and they have, that's where the catalog team is. So I used to be able to talk my way into the catalog team being like, hey, I probably went to school with a lot of you guys. Like,
Yeah, right.
But you can't get it. They won't transfer you anymore. They just will not do it.
Bribing them.
Yeah, no,
they heard that they can get bribes.
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother story, right? I mean, I've been reached out, via LinkedIn with people saying, hey, I got anything you want. What brands? Here's the data. Luckily I'm smart enough to know that I'm not getting involved in that. But
yep.
Yeah,
Lots
I mean,
people do.
Yeah, they do, and so on one side, I'm appreciative in the fact of, a level playing field, right? If that's what Amazon's goal is a level playing field, I like that. I get that. I think that's great.
Playing field.
But it's not, though, because of the way that they cherry pick what they're going to currently enforce, and who who they're going to pick as the winner or the losers.
It's never been a level playing field anyway, since day one. I mean, they kicked me off my own listing in 2008 after I just got my Q4 delivery. They kicked me off my listing because they went to my manufacturer and had the same part made.
Yeah.
And I mean, I swear, it's Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
It's the same thing every few years.
So tell us what happened with that, Joe. That sounds crazy. So you had a product that was a really good seller, it sounds like.
I had a keyboard that sold really well. They went to my manufacturer. The only difference between theirs and mine was the sticker on it with the name. They kicked me off my listing. Right about now, actually just before Q4. I just got my Q4 delivery in. And
so was this like they named theirs Amazon Basics or what?
No, they didn't have those names yet. I don't remember what name they used, but they didn't have Amazon Basics yet. They were still kind of
Shadow Team LLC.
They did it to a lot of that year. They did it to a lot of sellers. They banned a lot of sellers going into Q4. And we all took our crap and went to buy.com and made buy.com the second largest e-commerce site in the US in like 6 months.
Until they changed the name to Rakuten.
So what happened, Joe, with how did they notify you that you were being kicked off your own listing? Like, how did that all come about?
I wasn't on the listing anymore.
They just removed you.
They removed me and I couldn't get on it anymore.
And you couldn't get on the listing that you created anymore. So what stopped you from just creating a new listing? Like how did
my stuff was in FBA.
So they marked it stranded then?
I had to get it all back. FBA was about 2 years old then. Yeah, FBA was about 2 years old. It had just come out of it was about a year out of beta. There weren't a ton of sellers in it yet still. Yeah, it sucked.
Was that in, you said it was in 2008?
Eight, yep.
Okay, yeah, because I started in 2007 and I don't remember there being an FBA at that time. I think they had just like started it and there was just like a couple of people on it.
Yeah, I was in the original group and it was sometime in 2006. And it was great.
So it sounds like what happened, because you said this happened to some other people too. It sounds like what happened early on when they started FBA, they would find these products that were doing well and they would just copy them.
They've always done that.
But what did Jeff Bezos say in the that his thing was, no, we don't.
Oh, the testimony, yeah.
Yeah, and
that's a must watch.
And Congress flat out came out and said that they feel he was lying to them, and he was. He was.
So, what do you think that sellers can do? Is there anything they can do nowadays?
Yeah.
So, what do you think that they can do to prevent this from happening to them?
Build their business off of Amazon and take Amazon's leverage away. Amazon doesn't mess with you as much when they know you have something else to go to.
Right. When you have a brand presence and more brand assets off of Amazon, and you can go.
If you have your pictures on other listings on other sites and somebody steals your pictures on Amazon and you go to Amazon and you say something to them, they know that if they don't do anything about it, you're just going to file a DMCA. They know you're not going to screw around with them. I wouldn't file an IP claim on Amazon. Screw that. I'll go file with Google and drop a notice on them. They can't say no. This selective enforcement stuff's for the fucking birds. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's wrong.
So what is a DMCA? What do you mean by that?
Digital Millennial Copyright Act.
Yep.
Okay.
It's an IP infringement, copyright. The minute you put up an image or you put up text, whether you go and have it copyrighted with the government or not, it's copyrighted. There's a record of it. According to Amazon, there's no record of it unless you took a screenshot, or something.
But
like
if that image came from my website where I originally uploaded it, belonged to my brand, I can prove that.
Right. So as an Amazon seller, even if you have no presence off of Amazon, post your damn pictures on Facebook so they're dated. There's a paper trail. Do something. Get that stuff up there so there's a paper trail. When the paper trail leads to Amazon, they bear no responsibility of anything. And you have to prove it. Well, how do you prove it? They're the ones with the archives, not you.
Right. And their policy specifically says, like, if you upload an image to our site, we own the image.
Right.
So if you can prove that you own the image before you uploaded it to their site, then you have that. So when you file a DMCA, who do you file with and what does that look like? Because I think most of us are only familiar with
It takes 10 or 15 minutes. You file it with Google, actually. And it's through Google, and they have a website called Lumens, which is a whole database of everyone that's ever been filed. When you file it, it goes to Google. They present it to the other party. The other party has 10 days to respond. Google takes it down immediately, and then the other party has 10 days to respond. If they fight it, well, then you have 10 days to prove that you filed a lawsuit, or else you lose. Yeah, so it's a double-edged sword. I got burned on that by a Belgian scientist over a website that I'd made a Nobel Prize winner of all people even. And he stole a website that I made for him. It was $10,000, never paid me. I mean, he purposely screwed several people in the US and didn't pay. I filed a DMCA. I won. But there was nothing I could do because I have to be a Belgian citizen to sue him in Belgium. Belgium could care less. They were actually his financier, the Belgian government, and they could care less. The French hosting company could care less. He got his, comes around, goes around, you know, but 10 grand is a lot of money. I was pissed.
Yeah. Well,
I was
yes.
really pissed.
Joe,
so if Amazon basically did that to you and you already had your brand built off of Amazon, you would file a DMCA against Amazon.
Yeah, and they have no choice but to respond. It's the law.
Okay, and then you might not be dealing with the seller.
The way the law is written is a hosting company, Amazon, any of those companies, they if they don't respond and they don't, you know, follow the law, they can have their privileges taken away.
Got it. Yeah, that would be a significant privilege to have removed, especially from the Google side of things.
Yeah, and there are some countries that, well, when my thing went through, there were still a bunch of companies that weren't following through on it. Countries. Now there's not as many, you know, but like China honors IP and all that other stuff, but they have these little loopholes sewn into it that, you know, if you don't have them closed, you're screwed. It's like an NDA in China, you know, it's worthless.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not so much that it's us against them. It's partially that an NDA does not, it does not keep, even here, an NDA does not keep me from making my own copy of your product and competing against you. It just keeps me from disclosing your information to the public. And that's what the Chinese do. They're not telling anybody your secrets. They're just making your product for everybody else.
Yeah,
you know, amongst the jurisdiction and all that other crap too, still.
Oh man, it's frustrating. The thing is, what I'm realizing more and more through my entrepreneurial career, which Joe, I don't know if you knew this, but I started, I think my first endeavor was, you know, paper out and all that. But like my first real endeavor was when I was like 19 years old, right? Which I spun up an affiliate program and I had ICQ bots and, you know, I would, it was back before, you know, all this messenger talk and all that, but I was getting referrals and, you know, it's taken me this long to realize that whenever you deal with a third party as part of a core part of your business, right? Which is Amazon, Google, Facebook, all these major tech companies, they can flip the switch at any time. And they've done it. Every one of those companies has now done it to me.
Even the hosting companies.
Yeah. I mean, they can just flip a switch and turn you off. So, I mean, when you're building your business, you know, you really, really have to take that into account and try to get into businesses where you're not so, I mean, you're always going to be relying on Google, right? I mean, Google, it's where people go to search. Facebook, it's pretty hard to get away from Facebook in terms of, you know, if people want support, they go to Facebook to message you. If if somebody's going to buy a product, they go to Amazon. So, I mean, to get away from those three companies these days is
only 10% of the world goes to Amazon.
No, but I'm just saying though, Joe, in terms, I mean, it's not Amazon. If it's not Amazon, it's Walmart, it's Target. You know, I'm just saying you're going to be beholden to one of these major companies. So all I'm saying is choose wisely and just realize that, you know, that build that into your business plan. You know,
that's why you have to diversify.
Absolutely.
I mean, even if you're spread across multiple marketplaces, they're not all going to screw you at the same moment. You know, you have to be able to, I mean, I ask people this all the time. If you get suspended tomorrow, how are you going to pivot to be selling within 24 hours and communicate that to your followers? If you have no idea, well, then you don't have a business.
I have an idea. When I'm out of stock on Amazon, people buy on my website. So I don't. Right. I mean, if they shut me down, that sucks. But I also sell on Walmart. I also sell on Wayfair. I sell on my website. Right. You know,
and that's the whole thing. You know, the one thing that nobody talks about in any of these, you know, seminars, courses, all this stupid bullshit for sale out there. Nobody says have a backup plan. What is your backup plan? You know, sitting down and going through fail scenarios is part of a business plan.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, I just said to my group, a few weeks ago, write down a list of the worst things that can happen to you during Q4 and think about how you're going to react to it. This is, I mean, come on, if it's going to happen in any year, this is it.
Right? It for sure is. just ask one of the people on this Zoom call right now. Yeah, I mean, I've got a total of, I think, 15,000 units of the product that's currently suppressed. Gonna hit the fulfillment centers here soon. So I mean, yeah, it's insanity. To be beholden to that, to their whim.
And the inventory levels too. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And not only that, like when they stopped delivering stuff on time during COVID, they were literally holding your inventory hostage because you couldn't remove it and sell it somewhere else.
No,
you could. Stuck. Sorry.
You were stuck.
Yeah, you were stuck.
At that moment, you were stuck.
The only thing that you could do, those of us who've been doing it long enough and knew how to do multi-channel fulfillment, we could multi-channel fulfill, and that's exactly what we did. But so many people, I mean, they had no idea what to do.
It was a clusterfuck. Nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when you first started it, you spent several days telling her over and over, telling other people how to do it. And it's frustrating, but that's part of, starting on Amazon. You've got this long list of stuff that you need to get done to do private label in this tiny little time period, and it's too overwhelming. It's too much to ask for a lot of people to learn private label from start to finish, to learn sourcing from start to finish, to learn optimization from start to finish, and to learn how to manage themselves. That's the hardest part for most people, even us today, I mean, I've been doing this forever, and I still have, I have my moments every day. It's just part of life, It's crazy. I couldn't imagine just starting with no business experience and jumping into private label.
Yeah, I mean,
in another country, all that stuff. It's nuts.
Yeah, I think another big thing that people aren't, everybody when the FBA thing went down with the limits and everything, everyone's like, okay, I got to go to a 3PL, right? What people aren't realizing is that, and I'm predicting this, but it may not be true. I think they're going to get overwhelmed. I think they
already are.
They're going to be taking on too much business, because when you're a business person, people come to you and they go, hey, I got business for you. You say, hey, cool, bring it here, right? There's never a thought about, okay, well, if we bring as many people in as we can, our service is going to suck, and then people will never use us again, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
So people, I keep telling people, like, you need to actually go and watch some YouTube videos on how to ship stuff yourself and hire somebody. Right. There's going to be somebody down the road who's, not working because of COVID, who, you can pay $15 an hour that will come and ship for you. I mean, that you guys really, really, if you're listening to this right now, I implore you to really, start right now getting, things like label printers, ship station, all these things that I started as merchant doing merchant fulfilled, and we would ship 600 orders a day when we first started out. So
started with my own website at 9 o'clock at night on the last day to ship before Christmas. I was at the terminal at the airport with my pickup truck filled with boxes with my two kids who were 4 and 6, and my girlfriend's daughter who was like 3.5. And I showed up as FedEx was closing with my pickup truck full of boxes. And I was just like, I'm screwed. This is never going to work out. These women came out. They took all 3 kids. The next thing I see, the kids are in the cockpit of this airplane waving at me out the window. And I mean, it was really, really cool. I've actually have a great relationship with FedEx since that day.
That's awesome.
And it's just nuts though. But yeah, I mean, I know people that tell me I got to go to the post office. I've stood in the post office every fucking day during Q4 before.
We had our mail guy during this time who hated us because he would come to our house and fill his truck. They had to like change the truck to like the bigger truck on our mail route just because of us. He was a Crown Royal fan, so I took care of him with some Crown Royal and a nice little bonus check.
That's what we do with our UPS drivers. Is we have UPS come to the house every day and pick stuff up.
You got to take care of those guys. Those guys and girls bust their balls. Especially during Q4. Some of those guys are still working till 11, midnight.
Right.
They're working hard.
Yeah, when you're trying to close at 5 and they're showing up at 7.
Yeah.
But if we look at any of the major brands that have grown over time in America, a lot of them started making their own stuff. A lot of them started in their garage. A lot of them started with their own factory, their own manufacturing facility. And that's the thing, like people always say, well, I can't import wood from China because it's just so expensive. It's like, it's expensive because it's readily available in the US.
I imported wood from South America, had it shipped by ship to the Philippines where it was made into a furniture and then shipped here on a boat. And all that, and it came here, it showed up as a dining room table. I couldn't buy wood for the cost, just wood. I couldn't buy the wood here to be that it cost me
for the cost you could
chairs.
All that importing. Wow.
It was ridiculous.
But what I explained, like for people looking for wood manufacturers in the US, I said there's tons of wood manufacturers in the US that make cabinets and surfboards and everything else, or skateboards, but I don't think surfboards are usually made of wood. But anyway, and I explained like most of them are manufacturing their own goods. They're not taking on new things to manufacture for other people, So it's just, but you look at the history in America of most brands, and I'm sure you'd find this in other countries as well, that they started in their own garage. They started in their own facility, and they grew from there. And so I have shipping. We just did launch in our mastermind group. And when I talked about shipping training, of course, I showed them A to Z how to ship on Amazon, but right in there, I was like, you need an account with the big 3. You should have an account with UPS. You should have an account with FedEx. You should know how that stuff works.
I do not have an account with them.
But a lot of people don't, Joe. It's like,
I don't know how that works.
But it's available to you as a business owner, right? And a lot of people don't realize you can get cheaper rates from UPS than you can even buy from Amazon if you just open up your own business account with them.
Yeah, I had I guess it was 2000 when I did that airport thing. The guy that was running that branch is now a VP of FedEx, and we're good friends. I've gotten him some really big accounts here with clients and stuff. And he's told me some pretty wild stories, really wild stories. 4 years ago, he told me that Amazon was more than 50% of FedEx's business, UPS's business, and the post office. And their big concern was that if Amazon cut off any one of them on a Friday, by Monday, there would be mass layoffs across the country. Their fleet would be grounded, all kinds of crazy stuff. FedEx freaked out over that. So they made a serious effort to remove Amazon from their flow. And they did, they stopped working with Amazon. And they started their own fulfillment. They did a lot of different things. It was really interesting to watch. It was really, really interesting to watch. And just, I don't know. I remember FedEx when I was a kid. There was Emory. Emory was one of the delivery companies. And they had this little kid in their commercial. And he'd talk about, how they're the best company. And they were cheaper than FedEx. And FedEx came out with one absolutely positively has to be there overnight. They put Emory out of business as the more expensive shipper with just that USP, which is nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah. So, going back to it, I keep telling people, not only the label printer, but, getting the packaging, getting the flow, like just, learning how to do that because, if you're
box.
Yeah, well, and have some backup stock, right? We have that every Q4, and I know very little sellers that do, right? We have
What's safety stock? I mean, that was, COVID bit so many people in the ass.
yeah,
because
we
they
we
did not have
boomed.
safety stock.
Yeah, we boomed because we had a container full of stuff in our backyard.
Yeah, who doesn't have safety stock?
Yeah.
That seems like a sin.
Yep.
That to me just makes no sense. But I mean, I don't know. I'm old school. I learned the right way to do things as opposed to the Amazon way or whatever you want to call it. I mean,
Joe, you don't have a Lambo, so I'm sorry, you have zero credibility.
because I didn't have space in my garage.
Oh man, we're moving away from the Lambos. Our family's more into investment properties and things like that now. We want cash flow.
So in Idaho, one of my favorite 3PLs is in Idaho. It's called Verde Fulfillment.
Uh-huh.
And they actually stopped taking new clients probably 2 months ago.
That's smart.
They stopped taking any new clients until January, but they're a really good 3PL and they're green. That's a great company.
Awesome. Yeah. So Nampa, which is the little suburb right next to us, they just spun up a new fulfillment center. So it's opening in the next 30 days, I think, or it's opening up here pretty quick. So
yeah, Amazon's opening 8 of them here. They announced in first week of September, first week of August to have 8 fulfillment centers open here by Christmas. Just nuts.
Crazy.
So Agnes is here and she wants to know, is there any way to find a supplier in the US for private label?
So Thomas Net is one. They're not that great.
Makers Row. Actually, if she lives in the US, call the manufacturing association in the state that she lives in and talk to them. They should know who can make stuff or who's looking to make stuff and deal with the type of product that she wants. There's also mfg.com is really good. That's a good new database of American manufacturers as well.
Thanks for tuning in to part 1 of this episode. Join us every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for live Q&A and bonus content after the recording at sellerroundtable.com. Sponsored by the ultimate software tool for Amazon sales and growth, sellerseo.com and amazingathome.com.